Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, well. Call this meeting to order. I'm the chairman. My
Want me to read
name's
it, Mark?
Martin Bailey.
You want me to read it or do you want to go?
You can read it.
Okay. Thank you, Marty, for calling the meeting to order. I'll do a quick kind of legal spiel for our public hearing tonight, and then we'll move into it. So the Planning Commission's job is to conduct public hearings for the purpose of making land use decisions and/or recommendations according to the ordinances and laws of the city of Prineville and state of Oregon. The commission may not vary from the adopted laws and ordinances. If the law and ordinance is considered to be unfair or unworkable, there is a process to amend the ordinance. All city land use ordinances must meet the minimum standards of enabling state statutes and administrative rules. All applications being heard tonight are being weighed against the law and ordinances in effect at the time the application was filed. Copy of this procedure and tonight's agenda, copies of the staff report are available at the entrance. All those in attendance are asked to sign in. They have. Briefly, each item will begin with the planning staff report and any additional comments since the staff report was written. All staff reports are available 7 days prior and are automatically incorporated into as part of the record. After staff comments and any other city, state, county, or federal agency will be presented. The applicant and those in support of the application will speak first, followed by those in opposition. For those who are neutral but have questions, they will come last. The applicant is given the final rebuttal, at which time the public hearing may be closed following a commission discussion and action. Testimony from all concerned shall address the applicable law or criteria. Failure to provide testimony at this hearing or address an issue with sufficient detail to afford the hearing's body and other parties an opportunity to respond will preclude a person from participating on an appeal to City Council or State Land Use Board of Appeals after that. Failure of the applicant to raise any constitutional or other issue related to conditions of approval with sufficient detail to allow the hearing body to respond will preclude the applicant from pursuing action for damages associated with those conditions in circuit court. When testifying, please approach the front of the room and state your name and address. If you represent someone else, please state who you are representing. At this time, ex parte contact. Do any of the commissioner members have any conflicts of interest on tonight's meeting?
No.
None noted. Is any member of commission, never mind, we said that, none noted. Any member of the audience wish to challenge a member of the commission of any items on the agenda? None noted. So we will move on to the public hearing and I will turn it back over to Marty.
Okay. Tonight we have for the public hearing the review and consider action for SUB 2026-100 for a 45 lot subdivision with the Iron Horse outline development plan. Staff?
Good evening, Commission. I have a brief presentation of this application, and then we can move into deliberations, and the applicant's here for questions, and see if anybody from the audience has any questions as well. We are on Zoom, so we'll check to make sure that somebody remind me. We do have to check if there's any audience online. This subdivision is a continuation of the Iron Horse subdivision that we've been dealing with since '05 when it was originally approved. This portion of it is a 45 lot expansion of the Iron Horse development south of the Barnespeed Elementary School, which was kind of roughed in there and envisioned back in 2013 when the outline development plan was updated due to the new alignment of the Combs Flat Road. And we'll look at that later. Applicable criteria, Iron Horse outline development plan, and of course all the city code of ordinances and our land use chapter, which is 153. The zoning is R2, which is our general residential zone, and it has an approved outline development plan overlay, which is considered the Iron Horse outline development plan. Notice was sent out, mailed notice to the neighboring properties. I did expand that notice to kind of everybody on the edge of the subdivisions on the east and west, so it was a little more than this typical 100 feet. I usually do that when I know that there's going to be some influence. That was sent out on March 27th. Newspaper notice went out on April 7th. So I did not receive any public written comments back. I I didn't receive any agency comments from state, federal, those types of things, other than some wetland stuff, which this project does not have. No verbal comments were received from neighboring property owners, and the Public Works and Fire Department did comment on the street layout. This has more to do with turning radiuses and curb extensions versus not. That will be handled during review of the construction drawings. It's just part of our standards. And I'll go through some of those layouts and what we actually did to the streets to make them a little easier to maneuver. Site location, that's a 2025 aerial, south of Barnesville Elementary School. You can see the horseshoe that was actually graded in there when they built the school. So that was kind of, they're following that same line. There's also a sewer line that was built in this area as part of this development. So that's dictating some of the way this property is being constructed. Iron Horse Drive, better use the mouse. Iron Horse Drive basically dead ends. This property will dedicate the remainder so it can continue on. This has already been dedicated so that we can actually keep that road moving. This is what's going to be necessary to eventually relieve this intersection of the traffic that we're seeing in the AM. Without this connection eventually moving forward, that traffic is going to become, it's going to fail. This is the original outline development plan. I just show that to show a little bit of history. You can see down there in the corner, this is what the original thought was for Combs Flat Road. That's completely different now. But you can see there was always homes that were planned in this area. If you move over, this is what it looks like today, where the school is. Obviously, the Combs Flat Road, the canal was piped. Combs Flat's a little further over to the west, but this little area here is what was changed in 2013 to accommodate the school, and that's when that loop road was envisioned. And this is what it looks like. This is a frame from their draft construction drawings. They show the water sewer. The loop road was modified to kind of allow these lots to have more developable area. Someone's trying to lock us out. So you can see the loop is slightly modified. The existing sewer line comes in here and down, so this had to remain the same. Drainage we'll talk about at the end to see if it's something we might work out with the construction drawings, but right now the drainage is proposed in these different ponds. You can see the curb extensions here and here. That was part of the original Iron Horse ODP, their street cross sections. We are modifying those, which I'll go through in a minute. You can also see these two lots up here are the only ones that are not alley accessed, although lot 13 could be. These are the only two lots that would be allowed to front onto Iron Horse Drive. The rest of these are requiring alley access, so we don't clog Iron Horse Drive for those school hours. The red line is a no-build line, similar to what we did on the east side with Iron Horse 2. Phase 1, there was kind of an open space easement, if you will, no-build line at a certain point. This is roughly the same contour. They might smooth this line out to make it easier to survey, but that was essentially, I think, the 2945 contour line, just to keep people away from that edge. This property down here is not part of the subdivision. It will be left over. It'll just be like a tract remaining. It could be developed. Right now, the outline development plan, if you go back, actually shows it as multifamily, just like the other side. So that's what that is technically slated for. Traffic, this is probably the biggest thing people are concerned with this. There's not much this developer can do about it other than continue this Iron Horse Drive, as I mentioned. This intersection is where everything's kind of binding up, but it's only binding up for about 15 minutes in the AM. We don't use the AM as our reason for creating or fixing problems with traffic. We use the PM hour, not the AM hour. So everything's based on PM peak. If you're failing at PM peak, you might have to do something to fix it. You're failing at the AM peak, it's just not something we look at. You have to have a standard. So this one, I wanted to actually review it. We did. This is the AM peak hour. I wanted to see how the school was actually affecting this. And when you look at those, when you look at those, you can see the Iron Horse Drive and Combs Flat intersection is failing at those. That's LOS's level of service. WB is westbound. So basically traveling through.
I'm hearing it's the same clog of when they pick the kids up after school too.
It is a clog, but it's not as severe. So if you look at the PM peak, those levels of service are still in that C range. It does drop it. It is getting closer to our standard, which is E. We use A, B, C, D, E, F, just like school. So once it hits E, it's still okay, but we know we're about ready to fail, which is an F. So in the AM, you're getting that level of service F on those westbound movements. In the PM, you're still at the C. This will all be fixed when this connects to the northern development and then wraps back around to the roundabout. It's very similar to the same problem we had down on Ochoco Lumber before St. Charles punched through and Stewart Drive. It's kind of a staged traffic element where you have to get all these roads built, but there's no way to build them unless you develop. It's kind of this catch-22 where you're always behind in traffic. So something will change here. The next 4 is probably the next intersection we'll have to deal with. The more development you get to the north, but it is not failing right now. That's this Laughlin. We're still seeing levels of service in the B range. And even after project, you're still seeing levels of service in that B, and your C eastbound is getting a little drop to a C. So PM peak wise, we're actually maintaining it. The next development will stack on top of this study and so on and so forth. And hopefully we get those connections made, particularly not only Iron Horse Drive, but eventually Anglers, and those roads will connect to the south or to the east so they can go south onto Wayfinder. And that's how we're looking at the traffic so far. We're also in conversations with Joel, new superintendent of the school, to see if we can tweak some of the ways they actually do drop off and pick up. And some of this road circulation, if we can adjust that, if we can adjust different times, kind of get their take on what we can possibly do before this road connects through. So there are other efforts we are having to do, because the primary problem is not anything that these developments are doing. It's the school and those pickup and drop off times. In the summer, it's gone. After, during the day, it's gone. At night, it's gone. So there's not much to fix other than that 15 minutes. Roads, like I said, alley cross sections, your typical city cross section, 20-foot of right of way, 15-foot traffic. This is straight out of the Iron Horse ODP. This is right off of their construction drawings, is what they're building. Same as they built over on the other side. So the alley is pretty typical. We're looking at 3 inches of pavement, not 2, but that's essentially the difference. ODP cross section, this is where we really did make a change. This is the original, or what was updated in 2013. It was supposed to be a 32-foot wide street, parking one side, 55-foot right of way, and 6-foot curb extensions. We have changed that. Actually, the developer, Brett Morgan, proposed this. And we in the city basically said, yes, please, we want these streets to be a little bit wider. So 36-foot of pavement, which is our standard, a 60-foot right of way that maintains the planter strip, and the sidewalk is the same as all of the rest of Iron Horse, but it gives us the full parking both sides for our street width, and the right of way allows all it to be accommodated within it. And then we took those 6-foot curb extensions that were shown here and we dropped them to 4. And actually, I think what you're seeing out there now, some of the curb extensions that people complain about, those are 8-foot curb extensions. I don't know why they did 8. But the option was for 6 on these C2 neighborhood streets. We dropped them to 4 in the actual plan. General findings, meeting the intent of the ODP. This single family, going to single family. These are larger lots than probably where it was anticipated originally. So on the outside, smaller lots in the middle. Subdivision will extend course needed infrastructure through, like I talked about with the Iron Horse Drive. Dimensional standards are being met. It's both meeting the ODP and the standards for the city zone. The ODP would allow him to do a lot more density if he wanted. He's trying to keep those larger lots on the outside for himself and then possibly sell the ones in the middle. All infrastructure will be built to city standards, including to and through water, sewer, and streets. Couple of specific conditions that are really unique to this place. The no build line is a unique condition that was put upon them by the outline development plan to have that kind of unique open space area. There's a fence standard that is maintained by the HOA to have uniform fencing on the outside. They have actual standard for the entire neighborhood, but that is part of that, so it looks uniform on the outside, just like it does on the other side of the neighborhood. Like I mentioned, lots 13 and 14 are the only ones that can access Iron Horse Drive. That's the only exception on Iron Horse Drive. And then with those storm ponds, the way they have them developed, we might need a maintenance agreement like we did with Polish. Pretty simple. We have a template that we use for Polish homes to kind of manage these areas. So the HOA will maintain them, though they're taking a city street runoff. That way they get maintained and no one's arguing over who should be doing it. So with that, I'll leave the kind of the tentative plan up here. We can have any discussion, and then we'll go into questions and motion if we need it. Does anybody have any questions from the commission at this time?
On
Joe?
Lot 13 and 14,
Yes.
why not just continue the alley? Was there somebody limiting that?
It drops off. So if you look at the aerial, it basically, this lot here, the hillside just drops. So if you could maybe get 13, but I doubt it. It's just going to take whoever wants to develop that. If they feel like they can build lot 13 up and get alley access, fine. 14 is probably not going to happen.
And then on lot 39, it's got an easement line there and then a no build line at the back. How much does that limit development?
Oh, so this easement here doesn't really limit it much, but is to access this lot. This lot also falls, so there's like kind of a bench right here.
Shared driveway.
They will share a driveway. So these guys don't actually have their own driveway in the corner. They'll actually use this to get through. And it'll be shared. The rest of them are all good. This doesn't drop. There's like a bench right here that drops off, and it just requires it. We messed with this for quite some time to get that to work.
Any more questions, staff?
Okay,
Okay.
I'll leave it up for discussion.
Other city, county, state, or federal comments? None noted. Applicant?
I just appreciate your time coming down here this evening to consider our project.
Just do name and address.
Brett Morgan, 8013 Southeast Paulina Highway, Prineville, Oregon. Again, I can appreciate your time to come down and consider our project. Josh has done an impressive overview of kind of what our plan is to move forward, building some new home sites here in Prineville. I am a builder, and I plan on keeping 8 to 10 of these lots myself, and then trying to allow the other lots to go to other builders. But I think it's important that we continue the growth in town, and that we try to do the best we can with, quality built stuff. And Brooks Resources has done an amazing job with a master plan here. And I was fortunate enough to get my hands on some of this property, and I want to just kind of follow suit with everything they had initially laid out. And I think that they put a lot of time and effort into that, and I just hopefully will finish it the way they had originally envisioned it. So if I could answer any questions from you guys that would be helpful, I would be happy to do so.
Any questions?
I like the fact that you've widened the streets, and I've always been not necessarily a fan of the bulb outs personally.
Right.
I was on the fire department when that subdivision to the east of this was built, and with the bulb outs and the width of the streets and the center dividers, we couldn't turn the ambulances around, let alone a fire truck up there.
Yeah, I know. I work in the subdivision, in the other side, and that was, pretty evident that those bulb outs can be a real problem, and just watching traffic move. That's why I thought, why not do the wider streets? We had the room to do it and it didn't impact anything, so felt like that was a good move. Thank you.
Anyone in favor would like to speak? None noted. Anyone in opposition? None noted. Anyone who just wants general comments? None noted. Anything else here?
Oh, good call, Erica. Daryl, do we have anybody online? Negative. Okay, thank you.
No.
Was-
Anything else before I close this? Okay,
I don't
well,
have anything.
staff,
I don't have anything.
okay, we'll close this and it's up for discussion.
Pretty straightforward.
It's, I will mention, it is the last property that will be part of the Iron Horse, that is supposed to be part of the Iron Horse HOA. The rest of it does not have to be. So this is kind of finishing up that legacy project. The ODP will still remain on the rest of the property, but it doesn't have to be, isn't required to be an HOA. So that's kind of the difference there.
What's ODP?
The outline development plan. So the outline development plan is still on the entire property. When these properties, this larger property here was sold, it did not require it to be in the HOA. Whereas when Brett bought these two, it is. And the last project you guys reviewed was right in here. That one is also in the Iron Horse HOA. So these standards will remain on those properties. And this is kind of the last one. Kind of fill that out.
Does this ODP stay for a certain period of time or?
It's always there until someone changes it or asked to have it removed. Right now, we are working with others on this larger area to try to keep the same plan moving. People aren't really that interested in changing it with all the housing rules. This is kind of land, this is a grandfather into this type of thing because it was done in 2005. So it has some inherent value to it as far as an outline development plan if you want to build single family. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that since it came up.
And these are all single family, right?
Correct.
You were
It has to
talking
be, yes.
about the traffic and extending the road on out.
Mm-hmm.
How's that gonna pull it up there? How's that gonna reduce the traffic?
Well, so eventually, I'll just go back to that ODP because it has an outline.
There, yeah.
So there's the roundabout that we built. It's actually more over here, but this road, once it comes up, then they'll be able to either branch over here. They'll be able to go up to the roundabout and out. A lot of the problems we're having with this section right here is people want to go straight. And it's like, just take the right, go to the roundabout and go down. And you can't be taking a left-hand turn or trying to go straight at that intersection. And once this road gets completed through, when this subdivision comes in, which we're already talking to people about, it'll allow that traffic to split further. And some will go north, hit the roundabout and out, some will take a left. That circulation at the school is what we're trying to figure out. If we can get it to circulate better, to get people directed in opposite directions would be ideal. But they don't really have a choice to make a different connection. There's nothing else to do there. And they're not going to wait for someone else. You need to continue that road and keep getting it built through.
I personally thinking if I lived in the new development and the road gets completed, why would I take it? If I'm not going, I'd have to go clear up and around.
Well, you have a choice to leave a little after school starts too. So you just either leave before or after that. There's a window there and the traffic engineer actually went up there and physically counted it. And there's a window of about half an hour where it starts to get, clogged, about 15 minutes where it's really just hectic and then it vanishes. You just miss that 15 minutes and you're all right. And that's kind of what he was looking at. He did a whole drone thing and everything, but and of course these houses aren't going to build all out at the same time. So there's some lag time there. And we're hoping to get this completed up. This connection here will not happen. Because Combs Flat, we're not going to have any more connections on the Combs Flat. We're trying to drive everybody to the roundabout. And then eventually Angler's Canyon or Angler Street will connect, providing another option. And so that's kind of how you start to split traffic. And he's kind of stuck down here where all the infrastructure's in, ready to go. But for that little bit of an issue with school. And so he's not technically failing on the PM peak. So there's nothing to do really. There's nothing, I can't tell him if you just did this, it would fix it. It's just, and even in the traffic study, if you read it, the traffic engineer was like, the best thing we can do is keep this road moving and get it done. That's going to be the solution to the traffic in the area. So.
Is it only a problem when school's in session? So like in July, it's not an issue?
Right. Right. That's why it's hard to do these types of things is you don't want to make a huge fix for a tiny window when ultimately the fix has already been planned. It's just not built yet.
Anything else? No. No. Open for a motion.
I would make a motion in favor.
Here we go. Here's the language right there.
There's your language.
Make a motion in favor of the staff report. The record of tonight's proceedings are hereby incorporated as findings of fact in favor of this application. I move that the application be approved, subject to the conditions of approval as they have been finalized and based upon the findings of fact in favor of the application.
We have a motion in favor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None noted, so. Looks like
Thank
it's
you,
set to
guys.
go.
So, just for the applicant's sake, what happens normally, the conditions weren't changed, so I will put together a final decision, have Marty sign it and send it to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. You can take your blank papers and
Okay.
have the rest of your evening to yourself.
Okay, moving on here. Planning Commission matters, update on EOA.
Yeah, it's a really small update. I just wanted to put it on here to keep you guys up, in abreast with what's going on there. The EOA will be going to council on the 28th, so next Tuesday. And so we'll have the hearing on that. Hopefully it goes smoothly, and then we can just move on and we'll have that chapter 2 and 5 update and have our comp plan set so that a future UGB expansion is possible. Right now, we're kind of stuck in limbo where it's not possible. So, when I exit out of this, I don't want to stop. Okay, Daryl, how do I do this without killing? Okay, there we go. So I just bring that up so we can play with it here in a second. But EOA, so that'll go on the 28th. And then the housing capacity analysis, that is something we did 7 years ago now. That we did our kickoff meeting again. So we're going to be doing a new evaluation of our housing. The states, instead of doing it every 20 years, are making us do it every 8. So our 8 years is coming up in a year. So we'll be going through that. You guys, like I mentioned before, you guys will be the technical advisory committee. So these committees that we have, these meetings will come to planning commission and we'll review this thing as it goes in front of this body, rather than having a separate public input committee, technical advisory committee, and the planning commission. We're just going to do it all in one. Since it's so hard to find members anyway, and we're already doing these public meetings, and we already have the Zoom set up, so they're fully public, it's just easier to assess it that way. So we started that process, and this one's gonna be a little different. a little more contextualized is what they're calling it. So they're really going to dig into exactly the type of housing Prineville lacks. And exactly what development ready lands we have and kind of this very nuanced approach, which I could probably tell them already what we need, but we need to put it in a document so people know apparently. So that's going to be a little more effort involved, and we're going to have a lot of meetings with the Housing Works and Neighbor Impact and some of those types of groups, Best Care, to see what's lacking. School district is, we're going to meet with them and see what they're seeing as a problem for not only, kids that might be homeless in the high school type age, or families not being able to find a place to live, or teachers just trying to get teachers into the area. That's been an issue with not being able to find affordable housing. So they can't actually get enough teachers in place. So we're going to have a meeting with them next week. So things like that, we'll come back to you and we'll discuss it. That's all I had there.
That's it? Okay. Anything the commission would like to discuss?
Just to always talk about something with trucks, I guess. I have heard that the city is using truck lengths, truck size for your determinations as 67 feet long. You're 5 feet shorter than our shortest truck. Our shortest truck is 72.
I don't know. I'll have to ask what we use. You heard from,
I've heard it came from Bend. I'm not
from,
gonna give names.
are we talking about turning radiuses?
Length, bumper to bumper?
Right. For determining turning.
Determine whatever's necessary, because
I don't know what we,
that would be parking, turning, whatever room we needed to make whatever we need.
I'll have to see what, because normally our studies, they come from traffic engineers. I'll have to see what they're using.
Right. But again,
Um,
if they're using 67, our shortest truck is longer than that, and then they get longer from that.
Okay, I'll have to ask.
Might be a log truck might fit that.
Well, yeah, I know that. I think it's just your standard semi, what do they call it? WB. Yeah, WB 67. Maybe it is.
Our standard trailer right now is a 53 footer. Back in the day, when I first started driving, 68 feet was the norm. But that was when we had 40-foot trailers. Now we're running 53-foot trailers and unlimited cab. And typically we run short trucks, and so we come out to 72 feet. You get a longer truck and it's longer by whatever the truck is. And then you start adding a second trailer, like for the maxis, the doubles.
Oh yeah, second trailer. That's,
And that's not even going to the oversize. That's just a standard 40-20.
and I don't know if that affects the turning radius because the trailer's following, but I'll have to ask to see what
40-20
they
follows
use.
similar to a 53,
Yeah.
even though it's longer, but it breaks in the middle.
Right. So they're testing curves. This actually came up because we're updating our standards and specifications, standard like residential, like these curb extensions we were just talking about. Normally you see them in the downtown and you see them in neighborhoods. You don't see them anywhere else. Our standard right now for corners is a 15-foot radius. And most people are 15 foot. It just depends on the width of the street. So if your streets get narrower, those radiuses need to go longer, basically. Need to go 20, 28. I think fire department's 28 feet for their curve radius, but that's going on to a 20-foot street. So the wider you make your street, narrower you can make your thing. So we're going to have to come to some kind of conclusion on what our standard should be based on the width of the street. And right now we don't have that.
That's one of the reasons that I've threw out the offer to go for a ride in the truck.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm gonna run a truck through the reserve housing or apartment complex in Bend. If somebody wanted to ride along, when I'm in the street, nobody else can be.
The reserve in Bend.
Yeah.
It's between Worthy and the edge of the
Oh, yeah.
town.
I was gonna say, we have one called the reserve too, yeah.
Right, it's based one on the other is what we were told when we did this one here.
What you're really talking about, we see every day down here on Third and Main.
every day that somebody tries to make the turn
Yep.
and it's doable to make the turn. But you have to be patient and you have to work, traffic has to work with you. It's when you start thinking that you can't wait for traffic to get out of the way, that's when you're on with poles.
Yeah, Third and Main's didn't really change. It's the same as it's been. They just put that sign out too far. It keeps getting hit.
But
Um,
if you use all four, for that.
You have to
turn,
use all four
you need
lanes.
you need 4 lanes. You need both lanes and both turn lanes to make it work.
Yep, and that's a lot of our turning radiuses. Otherwise, you'd have to take the buildings down on either side.
Yeah, there's not much you can do to that intersection,
No,
So,
other than be patient and
yep,
watch what you're doing.
I can check on
Idaho,
those standards.
You're talking about 15, whatever your 15 feet. Idaho has a formulary figured out, an off-track formulary based on wheelbase of the tractor and the trailer and whatever you're pulling. And that's a statewide formulary that's on all of their roads.
Because I imagine
I
they
don't
would
know
be
how it
using
works.
the state standard,
I
whatever
don't know
that
how
is
it
in
works.
Oregon.
If I call Idaho and say, this is our distance, we're gonna go.
No, that's a good point. Then you could just mark your highways, mark your roads, yeah. I don't know what they built the roundabout to, but I know it was a larger vehicle because we were running low boys and stuff through there and testing them. But
We can, though, usually we can stay on the ground on that one. And I understand that the theory is that the east edges for the center was so that we can mount that curb, and that's great, so we don't tear up our tires and stuff. The analogy I like to use is, say you've got, because we haul pop or drinks stacked on top of each other clear up. And if you're going around a corner, inertia is gonna try to tip you over, so you gotta go slow. And then if you're there and you hit that curb,
bumps you, yep.
so you just gotta be slow, you gotta be careful.
okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to Justin.
Anything else? Okay. How about an update on developments and city projects?
Yep. So we have some water line projects going on around the Fairmont area. You've probably seen those happen up in here. Just replacing some of our really old water lines. Actually, we did have another wooden one that we had to get rid of. Didn't know it was there. So that's happening in the South Main paving is going to happen. You've probably already seen Facebook posts and some advertising of that thing to get people to understand that there's going to be a moment. We're going to try to fit it in before fair.
Now, they're working
Rodeo.
on it.
Yeah, they're going. So that's happening. Those are our two major like infrastructure projects for development. Development wise, the one you just heard tonight, right in here. The other one that I expect to come in this year is the Rooted Homes project in this area. This was originally supposed to be an extension of the Iron Horse Lodge. They decided not to build their their second building, and instead Rooted Homes bought the project. It's going to be, I think, 24 kind of duplex style homes like you see on Laughlin, but with full garages and such, with an access alley here. So I do expect that one to come through this year. Something interesting came up today I thought I'd bring up with you guys is the Hudspeth House. This thing it's got a residential zone with an outline development plan over the top of it saying it's private open space because it was originally going to be used for a community center. It then has deed restrictions placed on it from Brooks Resources that sold it, and it's never been able to get off the ground. Someone is going to buy it, it sounds like. And they were kind of questioning, what can I do with it? They'd like to use it as kind of an event area and things. We might have to come back and do some type of hearing on changing the zone of that or updating the outline development plan to say, yes, this can be used for events like weddings or corporate retreats or whatnot. Otherwise, no one can actually fund owning that thing. It's so expensive. Taxes alone are huge. The water bills, the sewer bills, they do have irrigation. It's not turned on, obviously. They filled in the pool, but it's a really tough thing to maintain. And if we would kind of want to keep it the way it is to have the historic value of it, we're going to have to let people do something with it. So that might come back to us.
Hutchins don't own it anymore?
Oh, no. No, they sold it Brooks Resources, when they sold the rest of the land, they sold it to Brooks.
Thought that, but I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
as a investor, he's got other properties around the state and everything, but he's been slowly working on projects.
He's been slowly working on it and he's owned it. He's sold it out on contract a couple of times and it's never took. And now I just talked to somebody else who's like, we're gonna buy it and we're gonna give it a go, but we need to know what's possible. And I was like, let me know what you want to do and we might have to come back and do a kind of review and change that outline development plan to allow it. That would be the easiest thing to do, I think. So thought I'd just bring that up, put it on your radar. Other than that, Horseshoe, have you ever gone down to the new Cadillacs? Gone to that grand opening, that was nice new place, kind of brighten up the downtown. We're getting the streetlights put in. The old ones have been taken out already, that really makes a difference when you pull those lights out and take the wires down. So the new lights will be going in, they'll repair the sidewalks here pretty quick. And then I expect the little place here at the edge to open this summer, if not this spring. Cause they're about done. They're advertising for their trucks and things, so I'm expecting that one to open pretty soon.
Well, the road is paved coming out to Combs Flat from the apartment complex.
And okay, yeah, if we get into the apartment complexes, these guys are gonna be opening two buildings in May. The northernmost building and the easternmost. These two, let me turn this on. That building and this building will be opening around May-ish. They paved these streets. I think they left part of this only 2 inches and they're going to finish it because they want to use it for construction traffic while they finish out the rest of the project. And they'll open buildings as they go and start renting them out. But we're expecting that to go. And if they fill up quickly, then phase 2, which is over here, they'll kick that off probably immediately as long as they know the demand is there. Madras Highway is slower, but you can see they have 3 buildings up now. I think this one, this one, there's a 4th one going up now. They also have the garages.
The two along the backside,
Yeah.
the two separate ones right there.
They're much further down the road. I think they got several months before they could even, because their parking lot isn't even shaping up. So, but they're moving forward and getting moving in the Laughlin homes. These are almost complete. I think they've already sold a couple, as they finish out the last few. Other than that, our stuff up on the hill, CVI is they're almost done. That large building here at the end, that manufacturing company, they needed to be open by June. So it looks like they're going to hit their mark. And then High Plains Drive, you see that data center is nearly finished. It's coming together. Looks like it has blue tape on it, but that's just the color they chose, I guess. And we'll see what other projects we have coming in. I'm getting a lot of calls on this lot. And the only other development I have that recently was approved was the wrestling gym at the middle school. So
Well, didn't the airport get a lot of money to do something with the runways?
So we did, and we finished that, and now we're looking at another round of improvements. I'll have to talk to Kelly about exactly what that entails. So the last one, you can see the hydro seeding, redid this runway here, and then rebuilt all the RPZs there. I don't know what the next project is unless it's to lengthen this one. I'll have to ask him. But there's these openings with the FAA, Federal Aviation, that open up and we apply. We are looking at a new master plan.
I thought I saw where it had been approved.
It may have been. I haven't heard. Kelly hasn't been to our management meeting, so I haven't heard. But I know he was looking at the grant, and we were also looking at doing a master plan, which they usually pay for as well. So that might be what they're doing, is just updating the master plan. But we'll see.
Hey, anything else?
That's all I have for myself. Any questions of what you guys are seeing?
Anything else here? let's see, next
Okay.
meeting is May 19th.
Next meeting will be May 19th. Right now, I don't have any public hearing items that have come in, but we've got lots of time. So there's a potential for that Rooted Homes project and for another Iron Horse project, if those are ready to go. So we'll see where they're at.
Oh, we ready to close up?
Okay.
Okay, meeting's closed.